Okay, let's dive in. We've got quite a stack of sources here, and they're all pointing to one thing, the world of AI.
Yeah.
It's not just moving fast.
No, it's more like exploding, just in all directions at once, it feels like.
Exactly, from, government offices, research labs, boardrooms.
Yeah.
The news is just relentless, like trying to drink from a fire hose.
Huh, yeah, good analogy.
So our mission today really is to grab that hose, try and point it a bit, and pull out the most important stuff for you, the insights, the surprising nuggets in this daily AI avalanche.
And what's really striking about this particular set of sources is just the range. It's not only technical papers, right?
Right.
It's real-world use, big industry shifts, and also these unexpected challenges, these risks that pop up when AI gets woven into everything.
Yeah, it really brings home that AI isn't some, far-off sci-fi thing anymore. It's here. It's impacting jobs, how government works, education, pretty much everything. And looking through these sources, the UK seems to be, well, a real hotspot for these early impacts and policy discussions.
Absolutely. We're seeing the UK government really pushing forward. They're planning to roll out their own internal AI toolkit.
Yeah. Humphrey. Yeah.
That's the one, Humphrey.
Yeah.
And it's built on models from the big names, OpenAI, Anthropic, Google.
Okay, Humphrey. Definitely a name with some resonance in UK civil service history. But building it on commercial models, that immediately makes you think about dependence, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And, critics are already raising flags about the speed this is happening in the public sector. Plus, there's that thorny question that won't go away. Did the training data for these commercial models include copyrighted stuff?
Right. Still hanging out there.
Yeah. But despite those questions, the plan seems ambitious. They want to train all civil servants in England and Wales on using this new toolkit.
So government adoption is definitely full steam ahead. But that optimism seems to clash a bit with the concerns about job losses, especially in the UK. We saw that news from the CEO of BT.
Right. BT was already looking at, substantial job cuts up to 55,000 by the end of the decade.
Which is huge already.
It is. But their CEO apparently commented that this original plan didn't even fully factor in AI's potential for streamlining things. He hinted the number could actually go higher because of AI efficiencies.
Wow. That feels like it directly bumps up against another point we saw this hope from some policymakers, that AI could actually, rescue the UK economy.
Yeah.
It just highlights this massive tension. Is AI destroying jobs or creating them? Or maybe both at the same time.
It does. And this is all happening while, let's be honest, large language models, LLMs, the tech behind ChatGPT, and they still make stuff up. They hallucinate.
Right.
And that limits how useful they can be in the real world, particularly when you need accuracy.
And that lack of reliability, or maybe people relying on it despite the flaws, seems to be causing problems, like in UK universities.
Yeah, The Guardian had an investigation, found a really significant jump in proven cases of UK university students using AI tools to cheat.
How?
Almost 7,000 cases in just the last academic year. That's a big increase. And interestingly, traditional plagiarism is actually going down.
So students are figuring out how to use the tech, maybe faster than institutions can adapt, even while we're all still debating the capabilities and risks. And yet, despite all that, we have a UK minister basically saying everyone needs to get on the AI train, now.
Yes, the technology secretary urging workers, businesses to act now, suggesting mastering AI isn't, rocket science, maybe just 2.5 hours of training could sort of bridge the gap between generations using it.
Right.
The message seems clear. Turn that fear into excitement or you risk it getting left behind.
It's such a tricky tightrope, isn't it?
Yeah.
Embrace the tool that might take your job. But remember, it hallucinates. And people use it to cheat, but also you have to learn it quickly.
Yeah.
We even saw that piece about using ChatGPT for personal finance advice, which then needed human experts to check it over. Just underscores that need for oversight.
Which actually leads us nicely into the technical side of things, specifically AI agents. The sources had quite a bit on this push to make AI more autonomous, more capable of actually doing things.
Right. Agentic AI. Seems like the next big thing. Aiming for AI to be a true digital collaborator, not just a chatbot. We're seeing frameworks pop up to help build them, connecting the language models to tools, functions, giving them hands, essentially.
And what's insightful isn't just that they're being built, but the challenges they're running into. Google shared some thinking on AI agent security. They highlighted two main risks: rogue actions, where the agent does something harmful it wasn't supposed to.
Okay, that sounds bad.
And sensitive data disclosure, basically leaking private info.
Also bad. So what are they suggesting?
Well, their proposed principles are interesting. Things like clear human control, limiting what the agent can do based on its specific job principle of least privilege, basically, and making its actions, and crucially, its reasoning visible. Auditable.
That observability part seems key. If you can't see why an agent did something weird, how can you possibly trust it to fix it?
Exactly. Google says they use a mix of old-school security rules and newer reasoning-based defenses. Though they admit the reasoning stuff isn't foolproof. It can't give absolute guarantees.
And maybe that's why, despite all the theory and security principles, these AI agents are apparently still, well, struggling in practice. There was that Salesforce benchmark.
Yes. Looking at real-world CRM tasks, it found even the top models only succeeded about 58% of the time on simple single-step actions.
Only 58%. That doesn't sound great for real business use.
No, and it dropped to just 35% when the task needed multiple steps or involved longer back-and-forth conversations.
Ouch.
It really shows the gap between the clean training data and the messy reality of actual business workflows. Agents just aren't consistently handling that multi-step real-world context yet, not reliably.
But companies are definitely trying to push past that. Anthropic talked about their multi-agent system, Claude Research.
Right, where they have multiple AIs working together. They claim it speeds up and improves complex searches compared to just one agent trying to do it all.
And Microsoft introduced something called Code Researcher.
Yeah, a specialized agent just for helping researchers analyze huge code bases and their history. So you see this trend towards building agents for very specific, complex jobs.
We also saw a specific prompting technique mention the persona pattern.
Ah, yes. This is basically about giving the AI a role, an identity, like telling it, you are a financial analyst or you are a helpful customer service rep.
Okay.
It helps guide the AI's responses, makes them more relevant, more coherent for that specific task. The idea is it taps into the LLM's existing knowledge in a structured way, making it act like an expert in that persona.
And taking that idea of specific jobs maybe to an extreme.
Right.
We saw that startup, Mechanize.
Oh yeah, Mechanize. They're building what they call digital offices.
Digital offices, what does that mean?
Well, their vision is pretty bold. They want to create these simulated work environments where AI agents can learn and practice basically every task a human does on a computer.
Every task.
That's the goal,
All right.
with the explicit aim of fully automating that human-computer work as fast as possible.
Wow. Okay, that's direct. Which means these agents need access to real software, tools, databases, right? Not just chatting.
Exactly. It's about connecting the AI brain to the digital tools people use. And related to learning, there was fascinating research from MIT suggesting AI models can actually teach other AI models.
Really? AI teaching AI.
Yeah, which could seriously change how these systems improve and evolve.
Yeah.
It might speed up progress even more.
Okay, shifting gears a bit from the techie nuts and bolts. There's been some really big industry moves this week, kind of revealing who's betting big and maybe who's changing course.
A really notable one was Google reportedly planning to end their contract with Scale AI.
Scale AI, they do data labeling AI development services, right?
That's them. And Google was apparently set to pay them something like $200 million just this year. So ending that is significant.
Okay, but here's where it gets interesting. Then we saw reports that Meta is making a huge investment in Scale AI.
Massive. Potentially acquiring a 49% stake for nearly $15 billion.
$15 billion. Wow.
And Scale AI's CEO is even rumored to be joining Meta in a top role. It really looks like Meta is just going all in on AI.
No kidding. We heard Mark Zuckerberg is personally involved in recruiting top AI talent, trying to build this new superintelligence lab.
Right.
Really pushing their llama models.
They are. And Meta's already rolling out generative AI features across their apps. Things like AI-powered video editing.
Putting them right up against players like Midjourney, who also just released AI video stuff, and Google with their VO model. It's eating up.
Meanwhile, that debate about AI and jobs, it's still going on, even among the big tech leaders. NVIDIA's CEO, Jensen Huang, reportedly pushed back on Anthropic's CEO, Dario Amodei's recent claim.
The one about AI eliminating half of entry-level office jobs.
That's the one. Amodei predicted big unemployment spikes. So Huang disagrees on the speed or scale of that automation. A clearer difference in outlook there.
And speaking of competition, AMD seems to be really stepping up its game against NVIDIA in the AI chip market.
Yeah, AMD unveiled their new MI350 series GPUs, those specialized chips you need for AI training and running the models.
Right. the hardware backbone.
They're claiming big performance jumps over their last generation, positioning themselves as serious competition. And importantly, their open source software, ROCm, seems to be gaining traction. Big players like OpenAI, Meta, Microsoft are reportedly using it now.
Another major industry play. Adobe, pouring $1 billion into their generative AI engine, Firefly.
$1 billion. They're weaving it tightly into Photoshop, Illustrator, all their core creative tools, making AI absolutely central to their future.
But it's not all smooth sailing for them, is it?
No. Facing some user backlash over price hikes, there's that FTC lawsuit about their cancellation policies, plus just intensifying competition from other AI creative tools.
And OpenAI, naturally, keeps iterating, updating ChatGPT search, making it better with long conversations, adding image search. And they quietly launched a new model too, O3 Pro.
And there are those whispers about OpenAI maybe exploring hardware themselves, a screenless device called I/O.
Yeah, which would put them up against things like the Humane Pin and the Rabbit R1. Interesting potential move.
We also saw news from Rednote releasing their first open source LLM. It uses a mixture of experts architecture.
Mixture of experts. What's the significance of that?
Well, it's a technical approach to make these huge models more efficient. Basically, different parts of the model specialize in different things. It can mean better performance, potentially lower running costs, compared to traditional dense models where the whole thing works on everything.
Okay.
It's just another sign of all the different technical avenues being explored to improve LLMs, their components like embeddings, and using techniques like Retrieval Augmented Generation.
RG helps them use external data, right?
Yeah.
To be more accurate, less prone to making stuff up.
Exactly, helps fight those hallucinations. And speaking of specialized AI, Google DeepMind launched a weather lab.
Just for weather.
Specifically to test AI models for forecasting tropical cyclones. Shows how AI is moving into very specific, critical scientific areas.
And the money involved.
Yeah.
Just staggering. Tech deals were a huge chunk of global M&A in the first part of this year.
Yeah, and AI software was reportedly involved in 75% of those tech deals.
75%. That's massive investment pouring specifically into AI. We saw examples, too, funding rounds for companies building AI agents for mapping the ocean floor or handling admin in healthcare, even automating supplier negotiations.
There was even one source claiming AI is outperforming bankers at predicting M&A deals by crunching vast amounts of data.
Huh. The bankers might not like hearing that.
Probably not. But with all this rapid development, all this investment, it's just so crucial we keep talking about safety and capabilities.
Absolutely. Because beyond the technical issue of hallucinations, we saw some really concerning reports. Things like ChatGPT users allegedly having psychotic episodes or getting seriously harmful advice.
Yeah, including recommendations to stop taking psychiatric medication. I mean, that points to incredibly real, dangerous risks if these systems aren't robustly safe.
And the copyright thing is just getting hotter, isn't it?
Yeah.
Researchers reportedly found Meta's new Llama 3.1 model spitting out large chunks of popular copyrighted books, sometimes word for word.
Oof. That could really undermine the claims that this kind of memorization is rare, and it has huge implications for those lawsuits, like the Disney and Universal one against Midjourney.
The wider societal impact is also under the microscope, like relying on AI companions.
Right.
Maybe it helps superficially with loneliness, but one source mentioned a Harvard study suggesting it could mask deeper human needs, real social problems.
And despite all the hype, the limitations are still very real. One test showed ChatGPT doing poorly against an old 1979 Atari video chess program.
Seriously, Atari chess?
Yeah, apparently because it just couldn't keep track of the complex state of the chess game over time.
Huh. And the control and bias issue seems stark when different chatbots give wildly different answers to sensitive prompts. Like that example of creating a pro-IC chant, some refused, others just did it, shows the variability, the lack of predictable safety rails.
It all just reinforces the argument for building safety in before wide deployment. That idea of embedding audit trails right from the start seems really strong, doesn't it? For accountability, transparency.
Yeah. We even saw that pretty provocative piece comparing ChatGPT's launch to the first atomic tests, suggesting it fundamentally polluted the digital world somehow.
Arguing for something like low background steel, but for training data free from certain kinds of problematic content, it's a strong metaphor.
And the irony. While companies race to adopt AI, some are apparently getting annoyed when job applicants use AI during interviews. Goldman Sachs reportedly told candidates specifically not to use ChatGPT.
Which is a fascinating double standard, isn't it? When those same companies are often using AI for screening candidates or investing billions in developing it.
Exactly.
And maybe one final critical safety point from the sources. An Oxford medical study reportedly suggesting patients using chatbots for self-diagnosis might actually end up with worse health outcomes.
Ouch. That really highlights the missing piece.
Yeah.
Rigorous human testing, validation, especially for high-stakes stuff like healthcare. Okay, wow. We have covered a massive amount of ground today from this stack of sources.
Hmm.
I mean, from UK government AI tools and job fears to the really deep tech of agents and LLMs, huge industry investments, rivalries, and these critical ongoing debates about safety, what these things can actually do, and the impact on all of us.
It's incredibly clear, isn't it? The world of AI isn't one single, simple story. It's moving incredibly fast. It's complex. There's breathtaking progress right next to really significant, sometimes dangerous challenges that we definitely haven't solved yet.
And that really brings us to the big question, the one for you to think about after this deep dive. Given everything we've just discussed, AI agents struggling with basic real-world tasks, Llama 3.1 apparently reciting copyrighted books, these deeply concerning accounts of AI giving harmful medical or psychological advice, how much should we really be relying on these systems right now, especially for important decisions, critical tasks? How much trust is warranted before we have truly robust, transparent safety measures, and frankly, a much better understanding of their limits? What single thing stood out most to you today?
Definitely keep exploring these vital topics. There's always more.
There really is. And there's always more to learn in the deep dive.